So Jake's gonna lead us through this panel. So this is Jacob Mao. He is on our church engagement team here at Worldly Chicagoland. And yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to him to help us moderate this panel.
Awesome, thanks. And thanks to you all for being here as guests and sharing your experiences. We'll just do a few quick questions and get a chance to hear from everybody. So we have also with us a volunteer guest who was part of a home team from a local church that worked with Fatima's family for officially about 6 months, I think you mentioned earlier in the year, but we're still doing stuff together with them. And maybe since we haven't heard from you yet, we'll start there. If you could just share a little bit kind of about how your team kind of came together, and maybe from the volunteer side, what a couple of highlights have been in that time of building that friendship.
Yeah. So our church we're a new church plant here in Albany Park, and we were wanting to be involved in the community. And obviously, there's a lot of needs in the community, but World Relief was just something that we just has the same heartbeat that our church does. And so we reached out, like, what would be a good fit? What could we help with? And they're like, well, we have this new program called Home Teams, and would you want to do that? And so we were excited about that, and ended up forming 2 teams. And I had the honor to get to work with Fatima and Vanessa and her family. And it's always just such a privilege to get to meet and walk with such resilient people, especially in your own community, to get to know and be a part of their family and learn about their culture and all those things. And so those are the gifts that you get to receive as a volunteer in many ways. So you walk in hoping that you can help the family, and in many ways you walk out more blessed than you walked in. So grateful for the opportunity.
And just to stay on that same idea a little bit, maybe Fatima, you could talk from your side. You gave some general things about getting to know volunteers and your kids getting comfortable. Are there any like very specific kind of special moments or little stories about times together, or specific things that happened that were helpful or funny?
Yeah, so we have shared a lot of our cultural things with them. So it's the big and the most enjoyable things, because coming to USA, there are a lot of different culture people, different countries people that we not even met before. Just only Pakistan Urdu people. So yeah, so they met a lot of peoples, but we met with them, like they are from different countries, so we shared with them our culture. Like we not have any other people that we can share our culture with them, or maybe there are like we not have any relatives or somebody there. So we were very happy, like, okay, there are some people come. We will share our things with them. So yeah, we share a lot of food with them. And they like it, thanks God. Yeah, so it's a very good experience. Yeah, because of them, like we just two, and the babies are not eating that much. So for 2 of us, like we not make that of much. And because of them, I also ate a lot of good things that I have eaten before in Pakistan. So that's the good thing. Thank you, Anna.
We're both benefiting from our good cook friend.
Yeah.
I gave you a reason to cook.
Yeah. My husband cooks very good. That's why.
I'm a little bit jealous. Have to join a team.
Why not? Welcome every time.
We'll maybe just do one more question and give everybody a chance to speak to this one. And you may or may not have input. I feel like we've heard a lot, but in terms of other challenges that people seeking asylum may face that we haven't hit on tonight, and then along with that, other opportunities to respond. Just in case more has come to mind as we've talked through the evening, if anybody has more to add from any of these angles, the volunteer, the kind of lived experience, or the legal.
I guess maybe from the volunteer perspective, because you did a good job, Mia, of just explaining the overall process that they're going to kind of walk through. I would say maybe a challenge on the volunteer side is having to walk with people as they're navigating these, in many ways, broken systems that don't help those with lower resources very well. And so it's a challenging piece of facing your own broken culture and saying, okay, well, this is how you can navigate this, but it's just not ideal. And just acknowledging that with them and walking through that and just learning patience on your own, helping them understand and develop patience on their own. I think that's the most challenging piece as I've worked with different families over the years. It's always just, this is just going to be hard. And just being able to acknowledge that I can't change the system, but I can walk with you in it.
I would totally agree with that. Sarah had asked me to sort of talk about the legal gap, like the gap in legal services. And so I do just want to share a little bit about that. Right now, I think one of the things that people face is that the system is really broken. And even when it's really working, it's difficult. And so there's a really big discrepancy between outcomes for people who have attorneys versus those who don't, right? So you are 3 to 5 times as more likely to win your case if you have an attorney than if you don't. So there's different estimates there, they range, but it's between 3 and 5 times as likely to, or more likely to win if you have an attorney. But only 7% of lawyers that appear in immigration court or in the system are pro bono attorneys. So what that means is that the other 93% are charging fees for their services. And you can imagine that not very many asylum seekers have the money to give, right, to that process. And so they're either putting themselves in debt, right, or putting themselves at the mercy of people that they have to borrow from in the community, which doesn't always go well, or they're having to not be represented. And so there's a justice issue there, right? So I would say that even at the outset, before they even start, that's a problem that people face. And then I would just say that I just completely agree with what you said about this is just a hard thing. And I was thinking about sort of why I became a lawyer. Sarah had asked me to reflect on that and sort of why, as a Christian, right, this is something that I felt called to do. And I just felt like something that I learned literally as a child was that I could feel peace when God was present with me, that I didn't have to wait for the provision. I didn't have to wait for the answer. I didn't have to wait for things to be better before I could feel peace. And that came because I experienced hardship, right? That came because I had been put in a place where I wasn't safe. And so that's something that really compelled me to do the work that I'm doing, is that ministry of presence, right? So when I am with somebody, I hope I can bring them some peace, just as a human friend with them. But I also really hope that I can bring God's peace with me, bring his presence with me into a room. And I do think that's, people notice that, right? They do, and they comment on it, and they don't always know what it is, but I know, right? Like, that's Jesus, like he's just here with us. But that's hard because you have to keep your own self, right, hopeful, and your own self, looking for that presence for yourself. And it is discouraging when things are very arbitrary and when people are getting hurt in the midst of it. You just want to fight, So yeah, I'd say that is a difficulty. Whether I'm doing legal work or whether I'm just, in my other hat on, just being a friend to somebody who is going through this process. That's a challenge.
Can we pose questions yet? All right, I'd love to ask one that I know home program, as we mentioned, has been here for a little while. And I think we currently have a waiting list of people who could use that help. So what are the barriers for us to get people off the waiting list? And how could we move this forward, particularly those who are watching, or here present, what could they be doing to try to get more people into this and moving through it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can take that one.
Mhm.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of people who have been here for months, if not years, that are ready to be able to be moving towards stability. And that's what our home program is for, is helping them get connected to the resources in the community through the case management that we have, helping them get legal services. And then while they are waiting to get their work authorization, because asylum seekers, when they first come, they're able to apply to get their work authorization, but rather than someone who comes here with a status, like for example, refugees, when they come, they can work pretty much right from the start when they get here. But an asylum seeker has to wait, usually it takes about 6 months for their work authorization to come in. And so that's when they're in a really vulnerable spot where there's just not a way to have their housing be provided for them with their own work typically. And so that's really why we created the home program, is like seeing those vulnerabilities of that space that we can step in. So if a church is ideally churches are interested in, we invite churches to sponsor a family financially by either paying for the housing for 6 months for a family and helping with the rent for 6 months. And then also coming alongside them and fielding a team of, really it's just 3 to 6 people can make a huge difference. And that's the size of our home teams. So yeah, we really ask for just a small group of people to come together and to walk alongside them as friends. And so if your church is interested in doing one or the other, we can certainly make that happen as well. We can have financial partners, and then we can find another volunteer team, or we can have a volunteer team and we can find a financial partner. So there's really those 2 specific ways to get involved, and then kind of anywhere in between too, as far as if your church can give a couple months of rent but can't do the whole thing, we'll work with you to do that. But the key thing is just that we have a lot of families who are waiting right now to get matched into the home program, and we right now can't move forward until we have more churches who are part of it. And so yeah, we're just really, I think this moment, we actually this event has been planned. We've been planning this event before the buses started coming. We have just been trying to spread the word about the need for asylum seekers in this community, because people have been coming here for a long time, and there's been thousands of people who've already been here, and we've been serving them. And the timing was just really interesting with the buses starting to come here with this event, because it's just putting it in the spotlight a lot more, this issue. But we're really looking for more churches who want to step up and help with this long-term support. So people in the home program, we're not directly serving people from the buses in the home program, but it's our longer-term solution for helping people with in a very similar circumstance who are already here, the asylum seekers.